Good evening, ladies and gentlemen,
Wait,
and
sorry.
welcome.
Sorry. Okay, go ahead. It's lagging. Go ahead. We're live.
Here, but we wouldn't do without them. For the Racing Liga Global, it is time, of course, for the second race of the season out of 12. We are following, of course, the PSGL calendar, and as such, we are visiting France today. And my name is Austin Smith, Badgerman, but I'm not alone. This time, I don't have George Morgan at my side, but I do have, nonetheless, a very, very talented commentator alongside me. It is, of course, Biggles. Biggles, how's it going?
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you. Be working alongside again with you for the second time and for the very first time here for the Racing League Global. So I'm excited. 19 drivers are out on track. Well, getting ready out on track for the second race of the season. And we'll tell you what, my friend, there looks to be rain in the horizon for race day.
Could all come down for qualifying, but it doesn't. The skies are very, very gloomy indeed. But I think they are going to be brightened up a little bit over the course of this qualifying session. As we're looking at Fabio here in the Ferraris, he's about to start the first lap. And it is a very difficult circuit, as we see here from Fabio. He's struggling a little bit there with that penultimate corner and waiting really long. I think his tires might be a little bit too hot from that out lap at the start, but now he goes DRS open, and the first lap of qualifying is already underway. And yeah, we've had one race before. That is, of course, Bahrain last week. And it was Liam Parnell who took the victory there, as we definitely... Wow, that lap still counts for Fabio. That's very surprising. He was off the track significantly there, but I think he slowed down enough to be allowed to continue.
And hope that everything in the stream out there is good, guys. Just please let us know if you can hear the audio of the game and everything like that. Just setting up all the graphics last minute. Things might not be 100%. But, well, that's what we have a little bit of qualifying to try to get that ready. Yes, we're aboard that Ferrari just at the time. For the first time should be for this evening, if you can hook it all up with that invalidation. Very difficult to crash on this track, obviously, as you know, because those barriers are pretty far away, so expect to see a lot of those cars. Should be able to finish the race with no problems whatsoever. Just a matter of...
Yeah, it's definitely going to be difficult to find the barriers around here. But not impossible. It's happened before, as this is a very scruffy lap from Fabio here, I have to say. I mean, this is really not how you intend your first lap to go. Pretty sure he's not going to be happy with it, as it really got bright now over the last minute. The skies are completely cleared up, and I think we finally got a good view of the track. It's not dark anymore, you know, we can actually see what's going on. Remember, the finish line here comes very, very late on the straight. It used to be a lot earlier a couple of years ago, but then they've changed. I think 2 years ago it was still very early, and then they moved it way back, and now it's all the way back to there where we saw Fabio cross the line there. But yeah, let's talk about Bahrain very quickly. We had, of course, Liam Parnell winning the race, the reigning, defending RL Global champion. Jeffrey Ritchie got second place, and it was Sync JST, now only JST. I don't know where the Sync has gone. Maybe he has left. And he was in P3, so a double German podium, which of course made me quite happy. I gotta be honest. But yeah, it was a very interesting race, top to bottom. We had the top 5 drivers within less than 10 seconds. That's how close it was. 8.3 seconds between the top 5. Both Red Bulls with very strong performances. Liam Parnell, we see here, 27.3, topping the timesheets early on in the session. Dylan Warren got P5 in that race. And so we'll see how the Red Bulls move this time around here at France, if that's a circuit that suits them as well, or if that's a circuit that they may not like as much. Right now it looks pretty good.
Yeah, some familiar names that I'm also aware of in there, some absolutely quick names. As Richie goes into P3 there. Carter's in P2, that we're on board with. Time's definitely going to tumble. Wow, that is certainly close, as you'd mentioned there. if that's the sort of close finish that we're going to expect, I expect to see that all season long. Expect to see very close, tight qualifying here too in Paul Ricard. So we've got some familiar faces and some new faces as well for the second race of the season.
Catalunya, interesting name that you mentioned him. Smasher now in his debut this season. He was not here for Bahrain. He is here now. Goes P1. Catalunya, interesting one. He had a very interesting race last time out of Bahrain, I gotta say. Started P7. Had a pretty good start to the race, but for some reason he just could not keep the tire temperatures of his rear tires down whatsoever. They overheated massively. He had no grip on the tires, and ultimately, very early on in the race, he decided to retire the car. So, yeah, really weird race for him. Maybe he can bounce back here. He certainly has shown already that he's got some pace to him. Question is whether he can also turn that pace into some points.
You look at some of the other drivers here at the moment. A few invalidations already. That may very well be because of a cool-down lap that they've set on these tyres. A lot of drivers out there have set their tyres immediately out in the soft, so I don't think anybody's really that comfortable to see if they can bring some good times in the mediums. We're looking at what sort of race strategy we'll be looking at then. Soft. Whoa! As I don't think we have the pit lane turned assist turned on, because I was just looking at the Williams driver go absolutely flat out in there, and a car stopped on an absolute dime.
Yeah, it's the pit assist is not turned on. However, the drivers are willing to take the warnings in qualifying. Because the first time you do that, you only get a warning. I think the second time you do it, you still only get a warning if you do it 3 times in the same session. You will get a penalty. I'm not sure. However, the drivers go very risky there. They just don't care. They just don't care enough. Very interesting to see for sure. But yeah, it's quite interesting to see here what's going on with the drivers. We have the first stints, obviously, and now the first attempts at hot laps. Ruben Vallejo is the one leading the way right now, and yeah, he I think he wasn't there last week, if I remember correctly. He was not part of the ongoings last time around, so for him also the first race of the season. But he last year, yeah, well, it was somewhat last year. It was the last game on F1 2020 on the last season. He finished the season with a bang. That was a victory at Belgium, and on that calendar we did not have France, so we can't really look at, how did the drivers do around France. We have no idea, because we didn't have France last season. Of course, the RL Global has sort of been revived last season. It was dormant for a long time, and so we can only really go by what the drivers have done last season, and France was not on the calendar, quite frankly, so not really much we can say. But Ruben Vallejo, of course, is one of the faster drivers on the grid, if not one of the fastest, as is CRG Smasher, as is Liam Parnell, as is Catalunya. I think there's a couple more that haven't set lap times yet. Dylan Warren would be one of them. We saw JST on the podium. Ruben Pedreño, certainly wanted to mention. He got a P4, if I remember correctly. I might have to look that up very quickly. He got P4 last time out. Yes, indeed, he did. And so, we got a good mix of drivers there that can all mix it up, that can all try and get those victories, get the win, and get those coveted 25 points.
Fantastic. I was just seeing a name out there I was on board with too. There was Javier Fernandez. Now, if that's Javier, I know he would be a Colombian driver. As I'm just also watching Mr. Brian, or Bree. That's the WOR Brian in the Alfa Aston Martin. He just went a little bit too outside the naughty lines. He's going to have to box him sometimes. I might have to, but he will. Yeah, Javier, I believe, is if it is that same Javier, is a Colombian, and believe it or not, last year he used to be on the keyboard and probably was known as one of the fastest keyboard drivers on the planet. Switched over to a steering wheel now, certainly getting a lot faster. So keep an eye out for him as he gets adjusted to that wheel a little bit more. If it's the same Javier, I'll just confirm that one. Fabio, we're aboard with the Ferrari driver.
I just checked the race director. I don't know if there is a Colombian flag in the game, but if there is, he's not using it. He is using the Spanish flag.
Oh,
so
could
I
be a
think
different
that
one.
might be. I mean, Javier Fernandez, I think, is a rather common name.
Yeah, CG right on that one.
in the Hispanic world. It's I would say it's sort of comparable to, let's say, Paul Muller in German. It's a very common first and last name there. As Fabio goes P7, very good lap there from him this time around. Definitely improved compared to what looked like a very scruffy first run from him. And it might be someone to look out for, but I think his teammate is more the person we need to keep an eye on. That is JST, who's in the final sector right now. Well, or Liam Parnell. We have to look at.
Yep.
We have to keep an eye on him as well.
He just went
P1.
quicker. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. P1 for him. But JST is coming through the final corner now.
What position?
And hits the apex nicely. Early on the throttle. Looks good. As he crosses the line. P5. Pretty sure he's not going to be happy with that lap. But it is ultimately still a good one. I mean, right in front of the whole pack there. If you look the gap between JST, Kersey, Jeffrey Ritchie, Baena, and Jake Finch, we're talking less than a quarter of a second. And I think that was Ruben Pedreño who moved up into 4th place there. So the top 5 now separated by 0.2 of a second.
Still got
Actually, the top 6 now.
Yeah.
Jake Finch.
Wow, that's close. And that's just the first couple laps there too. So expect to see those times tumble even more as they get into that last kind of final flying lap. Just trying to see if, yes we are. So we're looking at Smasher going even quicker at the moment. Keep an eye on Ruben. He's going even quicker on his time, so he could very well take this one away from Liam, as well as Smasher could smash them all and get the quickest lap. Then I'm going to get those puns coming thick and fast to these drivers, so don't worry about that. Oh, Smasher's certainly close. He's got that purple for the first sector, and you know how much that purple, it's a big smile, doesn't it? Boosts that ego, that confidence for you to say, okay, here it is. The top of the timesheets could very well be me. Pole could be me on the second race of the season. Let's follow that McLaren. Starts the final 3rd sector. He's got purple 1 and purple 2, so this is it. A little bit of pressure, isn't it, when you know you're the quickest person on the track and you only got a couple more corners to navigate. And
Icabañez into the wall. P10. That's in the final sector.
yeah, see that? Yep.
That's
it.
what
He's out
the
of the
yellow
way.
flag is for.
Luckily, he's just off the racing line there, not to cause any problems to
no,
Smasher.
he's coming onto the racing line there. This is bad for Jake Finch, who's on a lap right now, I think. No, he's going into the pit lane.
I think
He may
Smasher's
have
got this one.
invalidated already anyway.
Smasher has got this one. What's the time going to be? That's the thing. 26 is the first man into the 26 is 26.9. So there's a statement. That's 0.3 up on everybody else at the moment saying, all right, boys, I'm here. Gloves are off. Well, the gloves are on, actually. Who else can bring that time?
Right now, no one, because no one's really on a lap right now. We have Racing Stein, who has invalidated in P18. Other than that, we have Bryn on an out lap, and that's everyone on track. Icabañez in P10.
Banya's just hit the wall, I think, trying
he's
to
in
entrance.
the wall.
Yeah, he's stuck. That's a pit lane entrance. We have seen a few drivers make those mistakes, and can very well make those mistakes.
Oh, now he's driving backwards. He might get disqualified here.
He could
Careful, careful, careful.
What's he trying to do? Is he trying to get back?
I do not understand what's
Yeah.
going on here. Why is he driving backwards?
It's, luckily, he's got nobody trying to box behind him. This could be a disconnection of a wheel or something like that issue, doesn't it? That seems very much like that, because look at the way the car's twitching around, or a disconnection issue. Yeah, because he's going backwards. He'll try to, I don't know what he's doing at the moment. Let's just try to get a bit of free advertising. That's not the way you want to get that advertising, mate. That looks like an actual problem with the car or the disconnection. So these are the, these are
I
top
think
drivers.
he's left the session. There's the disconnection. He has left the session now.
As Racing SJN just enters the box there, probably like, hey, God, that car's not there to block. Just try to see if anybody. They're all coming in the pits, and then some of the drivers are coming out. Yeah, these guys are professionals. They're very quick drivers, and I seriously doubt anybody would be messing around and making mistakes like that.
Yeah. Especially Icabañez, who's been participating in quite a few professional, really top of league racing leagues, and would not expect him to do those shenanigans deliberately. I think that was definitely some sort of technical issue combined rather with, of course, the disconnect ultimately. As I'm looking at Bryn right now, he's the only one on a flying lap. Everyone else is on out laps. They're coming out of the pits, pouring out of the pit lane like a waterfall. This is what I always like to call the calm before the storm. I think the storm is about to head down to South France. And Bryn across the line, he's going to be the first one here to actually set a lap time of those cars. And he's in P12 right now. But I mean, just look how close it is. We have the top, what is this? The top 10 within a second. Within 7.5 tenths. Then there's a bit of a gap to Fabio. But if we, if we give it like 2 tenths leeway, then we could say the top 14 are just over a second of, on a whole lap, which is incredibly close. And even then we have Manolina and Javier Fernandez, who are not far off the guys ahead in Eduardo Garcia and Shazoo Neon. So very, very close. Everyone's got to fight for positions here. And it's going to be interesting to see who can make some jumps later on as we have more and more cars starting their laps. I think, Dylan Warren is on a flyer already, and he has invalidated.
He's invalidated, yes, so Dylan cannot be improving on his time, but he won't have enough time. He might. It's going to be tough if he does get the chance to go back there. But Ruben at the moment, as he gets past the P3, that McLaren, I don't know if that's compromised his exit because he was setting purples in that first sector. That was into turn 8 and turn 9, that little kink they added in the track, obviously, and he slowed down, so he's backed off on that one. So he's
the issue was not so much the exit, the issue was more the entry to the chicane there. He really started sliding around there, and that really killed his lap time, so he's aborted the lap. Maybe he could go for one more. That's the hope, I think, for him right now. The time should be there. The question is whether he'll be able to cross the line and have enough fuel and have enough energy. Because Catalundi is out. That is...
Turn 7 it looks like.
Yeah, that is turn 7 indeed. My goodness, that looks like a heavy impact. Trying to see what has happened there.
I think the car's been reset. There's a car off to the left here if we're on board the Red Bull. That's Williams coming back, but getting out of the way.
That's Kersey. In P8, and he retired on track. This is generally not advised to do that unless there's no way not to do it, unless it's inevitable. But he's put it in the wall. He's just put it in the wall. Okay. Well, car is gone now. So we have P6 Catalundi, P8 Kersey, and P14 Bryn already retired from the session. Everyone else still going. I think Javier Fernandez is on a lap. Yes, he is. He will cross the line. Right behind him, it's going to be a Williams. That would have to be, no, not Mena. It would be Modesto Mena.
I'm not sure. I'm watching Dylan.
Yeah, it was P12, yes.
Dylan, the Red Bull's definitely going to be up at the top of the timesheets here if he can hook up the third sector. Could even be around where his teammate is, the Red Bull. We're looking at front row perhaps for this Red Bull. Yes, right behind his teammate.
Yeah, and here comes his teammate. 0.008 of a second up after 2 sectors. He might just put no.
He's invalidated.
Oh, hold on. Oh, he's invalidated. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I was wondering. The time was better, but it didn't improve. What's going on there? Yeah, of course. Oh, and Pedreño spins out of the final corner. Oh my! And now he's just doing donuts. This is very unfortunate. There we have Racing Stein coming across the line, and that is P16 for him. Ruben Vallejo across the line. Could he improve? 27-2. 27-0 P2. Pushes the Red Bulls down.
Also pushes him closer to Smasher, who smashed that lap before, so that's 96 thousandths of a second. The only man that's kind of really within reach of that McLaren. Out of here for our qualifying. Hope the audio level and everything's out there okay, Mr. Philip in the chat there. I believe you have a little spanner next to you there too, so you can make sure that tire level, all that jazz is all good as well for us. Wow, what a qualifying session. If you'd like to read through those results for us, please.
Yeah, as soon as we get there. There we go. Wonderful. So it's CSG Smasher in his first race of the season on pole position with Ruben Vallejo right behind him. That gives him a good chance to make an impact here early on and recover from missing his first race as well. So both drivers on the front row not having participated in race number 1 of the season. Then we got Liam Parnell, championship leader, winner, and current reigning defending champion in P3. Dylan Warren, teammate P4. Pedreño 5, Finch 6, Catalundi 7, Richie 8, JST 9, Kersey 10, Baenya 11, Manolin 12, and the rest I did not get to. We will catch up though as soon as the drivers are on the grid. Of course, we will take a look at the rest. But I think a couple of drivers. Yeah, Baenya has not rejoined, so I think. Oh, never mind. I mean, that's a perfect commentator's curse right there. Have you ever seen anyone do it better than I do?
No, you're one of the best in the business, my friend, and I'm so glad to be working in the booth with you again too. So I'm hoping that we can try to bring all that to tape. But remember, I said it was going to be raining. Well, there it is. It's going to be this light drizzle. It's kind of like even it's Paul Ricard, but it's really kind of like London-esque weather, isn't it? It should be like. I think it's going to be like this during the whole race. However, it is dynamic. That's the beauty of it. Even with that prediction that Jeff will give you down the pit lane, it does change. So, and I did see this the other day as well when it said it was going to be like light rain for the whole race, but it ended up changing and easing off and switching over to the dries. So that's another thing. If that's the sort of times we're seeing between those drivers, how close it was, because like, a 1 second separating top 15, that very well could be with a lot of those drivers with slight tweaks to their setup, their drive setups to make them handle the wet conditions a little bit better.
Yeah, I just looked up very briefly because there is a certain setting on the game that basically, if you play the game, you know. If you're watching, you play the game, you know. Called let me actually find it again because I don't know what it is. Forecast accuracy. So how accurate are the weather forecasts? And in this lobby, it is set to perfect, which means the indication that the drivers see is always 100% accurate. The issue, however, is that a lot of drivers don't know how to correctly read the weather report, and that goes for esports drivers as well as league races as well as casual drivers. I've seen this so many times. Because it is quite, I have to say, this is not the driver's fault. This is mostly the game's fault. Smash is going really slow here on his formation lap, letting by Vallejo and Parnell. You are allowed to overtake on the formation lap. That's not an issue, but he's got desync issues, it seems. He's got some kind of, he's going fast and slow, and then he's got stuttering issues. There's something going on with Smasher here. That is not good whatsoever. Maybe it's the rain affecting the PC performance. But yeah, back to the weather. The drivers will see 7 bars of weather, 7 different icons. Or maybe they're the same. Maybe they are different. But 7 icons next to each other. The first one shows what the weather is like at the start. But then the other ones don't show the next part of the race, and they're all equal parts. The next 3 describe the next 15 minutes. So it's start, 5, 10, and 15 minutes. And then it goes up, 30, 45, and 60. Mm-hmm. And so the drivers have to be really careful here. The 60-minute one, the last one, you can almost forget.
Yeah, exactly.
Because these races, the 50% races do not last 60 minutes normally. So you can really forget that one. That's almost unimportant. Even if the last one shows rain, you prepare for a full-on dry race. Obviously not this time around, but generally, if the first 6 show dry, the last one shows rain, you prepare for a full-on dry race. It doesn't matter. That last one you will not reach anyway.
It's going to be 10. Well, I'm seeing on my telemetry information data report that it's 10 minutes of this light drizzle, and the rest of it after that, it's not going to give me a report at this point. So we'll just focus on this first 10 minutes first, and then I'll let you know as it goes on. Apologies too that there is no spray coming out of the back of the car. All my graphics and all that jazz turned up. I do believe it's a spectator bug. Drivers will get that spray in their visor, so they're the ones that are going to have the difficult challenge. Get ready for that race start, mate. I'm excited. Let's get this round 2.
Yeah, it really is a difficult challenge, I gotta say, because I've done that today. I've been racing in the rain a little bit. But here we are, 5 lights. And the French Grand Prix of RL Global is underway, and we have Smasher with a very good start here. Oh, and there's already contact. There's a house around in the background. That is Racing Stein, I think. That wouldn't be Ruben Vallejo. He's still in P2. So Racing Stein around. Don't know what happened to Carter Lundy, where his car is. It's somewhere in the middle. That's okay. That's somewhat decent. That should sort itself out. But so far, Smasher still leading the race. Vallejo right behind the 2 Red Bulls, keeping positions as well. The first change we have as everything sorts itself out right now. Give us a second there until everything is correct again. Racing Stein, please complete the first sector. There we go. Fantastic. The first driver who gained a position is Jake Finch in P5. The top 4 have all stayed the same. Carter Lundy gained one. Rumpedrenia with a horrendous start, down 2 places as they head down the long Mistral straight for the first time into the chicane. Now the second part of the Mistral straight, we have a yellow flag. That is JST around. JST around from P9. Could not see what happened there, but oh, he's struggling with the car. He's struggling with the car. Almost spun again. The weather conditions not that easy to navigate, but so far, only Racing Stein and JST are the victims claimed, and they can at least continue as there's a lot of shuffling going on in the midfield. Kersey losing a lot of positions, 4 down from the start, and more and more overtaking going on. But Smasher leads the way after the first lap.
They got through there, confident, obviously, under their braking points, knowing that, oh, well, here we go. And Jake Finch, Jake is
there's
gone.
a McLaren, yeah, Jake.
Ooh, he's in the wrong direction and everything. His car's going around that corner. It's a bit scary. He gets it around, dropping all the way to the back, no doubt, because they're all bunched up. Not quite sure if he has damage on that car, but his pride is definitely damaged, especially after doing such a great job.
Oh, he's retired.
Oh, no, he was putting pressure on, too, some of those drivers. This is putting pressure at the moment. Looks like Carter is putting some huge pressure on Ruben. Without the DRS, no, you'll have the DRS for some time yet under these conditions.
Going to be DRS here going on. Certainly not on lap 2, even if it was dry, but in these conditions that will not happen. But ERS is very interesting in these rainy conditions because obviously you're going to use it like less, but you should use it more because the brake distance into every corner is longer because of the lack of grip. So you have to brake earlier for every single corner, which means you regain more ERS through every single braking zone. So you have more to use on your average lap. But when you deploy it, you can't do it immediately after corner exit, because if you do that, you're going to spin around immediately. So you have to be really careful with how you deploy it, but you have to get rid of so much of it in order to keep it balanced, to not waste anything.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And also, just to confirm to everybody out there that's watching in the YouTube world, etc., what are the assists that are allowed and so forth in this division?
Well, there's not much, I gotta tell you. In fact, there is nothing. There is not one assist.
So no racing line? Here. Some people say the racing line's an assist or not. I presume that's not allowed?
It's not allowed.
Okay.
It's not allowed, no.
So it's big boy league for sure.
It is a big boy league, exactly. No assists whatsoever here. Which makes it very simple to explain. You know, not even racing line, nothing. Exactly. Everything's turned off. You can't use anything. Which makes it so that I would never be able to compete here.
Oh, there's a spin. And that's from the, that's TF.
Fine,
yeah. Oh, geez, I had to try to select the car really quickly because it's dropped all the way down at the bottom of the field. There it is. There he is. So that's one of those things, isn't it? Well, he knows that there's no assists out there because his car's just going around. The second one to go around making a little bit of a mistake. Dirty air as well. Trying to get temperature up into those tyres. Some of these drivers I know would practice this circuit a little bit in the rain. Where they've had enough time, of course, because it's a new game. Interesting, because, you know, there's a whole bunch of circuits to practice, isn't it? So you usually do it in the dry. Then, on top of it, you get time, you got to start practicing in the wet.
Yeah, but don't actually do that. Like, there's very few drivers. I would say probably esports drivers do it for
Neon's going to make a pass up on the inside here on Kersey. And it's a battle. Oh, they're going around and they both tap to each other. Can Neon keep it out of the wall? It's a reset to track. They're not sure if that was allowed. Just before he hit that wall at a crazy speed, but they are they're at it. And JZ now. JST, I mean. He is just getting around the outside of Javier. Not just yet, but it isn't over between these two drivers. Down the main straight, it's going to be a drag race of, once again, just pure ERS because there's no DRS here. Both same Ferrari-powered engines in these cars.
Well, the performance between the cars is obviously set to equal anyway, so even the engine manufacturer engine power does not matter. They have the same anyway. But there's the move from JST. Well done right there. and that's one position at least that he's regained, but he needs a whole lot more if he wants a similar performance to what he has done last week at Bahrain, where he got that podium. Oh, and he almost loses it. My goodness. Thank goodness for the vast runoff areas here at the second pole, Ricard, because on other tracks, that would have ended in the wall.
Yeah. These walls that do take prisoners, unlike the walls in Monaco and Singapore, etc., etc. They don't take absolutely no prisoners whatsoever. So Paul Ricard, at least it gives you a little bit more driving. You get to see a little bit more drivers finish the race. But two, at this kind of level as well, you make too many mistakes, you're going to drop all the way back. But at the moment, they're about 20 seconds away from the race leader on lap 4:27.
Yeah, and I think if we look at why they are there, obviously, we had incidents there for Benya, for Kersey, Leon. I think even Javier Fernandez and JST, we had incidents. And JST's trying to get past Eduardo Garcia here. That is very, very close. He just doesn't find a way. But Garcia misses the apex by about a mile here. And that should open the opportunity for JST with some slipstream as well. He might be too close. He doesn't get a proper slingshot past Garcia, but he should have him on the brakes. And yeah, Garcia knows not to fight this. Gives him a little tap there through the middle of the first chicane. But that is JST taking that position, and up he goes to P13. Should be able to put some gap between himself and Garcia now as well. Looking at the pace difference between those two drivers. Racing Stein apparently has disconnected, so that should be an easy overtake for JST, because that car will not defend. And there it is, finally, it says Racing Stein has left the session. So it was desync or some connection issue before, and now, of course, it is a complete disconnect from Racing Stein, which should make it all the easier, because now that car is ghosted, and JST can just drive right through him.
Yeah, I no doubt that'll be happening. I'm just trying to see if Javier's going to get past Guado Garcia. If he could do a similar thing. Remember, JST got past him, Javier, before. He's got past Guado, and now he's going to get past the racing yeah, right there. Because of the ghost. Stein, that's it, yeah. Racing Stein, nothing he could do too much about it. So definitely, that Ferrari driver's on the move. Let's see if Dylan could be on the move. I apologise for that little pause there for a second. My telemetry software just crashed. Every once in a while it does do that. I'm just trying to sort out the bugs with it. Let's see what's going to happen between the two Red Bull drivers. Are there team orders at play? Will Liam just basically let Dylan pass if Dylan's a bit quicker? But then again, Liam is also now held up by Ruben. So I don't think it's going to be just because Liam's slow. It's just because Liam has to now find a way past the Haas driver.
Well, I can tell you, I don't think there will be team orders at play, but I can also tell you they are most likely communicating with each other right now. They're in a voice chat together, I think, and they're talking to each other. So I don't think that there will be team orders at play unless Dylan tells him, hey, I feel like I can go significantly quicker, which does not look like it right now. And so, yeah, I don't think there's going to be much change. Oh, Dylan!
Oh, there it is.
Oh, my.
That's your fault. I'm blaming that one on you.
Yeah, the commentator's curse. It's not the first time I've done that. I'm so sorry, Dylan. I did not mean to. You know I did not mean to do that. But, yeah, he's down to P7 now, and that really kills all that talk of potential
coming into play right
team
now.
order, but
look at this.
Yeah, Cartellini and Ruben Pedreño. He was there. I was surprised to see that he did not take any more risks. Cartellini didn't, because I certainly would have tried to stay in there somehow. But at the same time, if you're not at least halfway alongside, you don't have any claim to the apex and to the racing line. So in Cartellini's case, well, you risk getting swiped, and he did not want to suffer that fate, so he waits a little bit longer. And if I look right now at the ERS levels, Ruben Pedreño is a whole lot lower than Cartellini is. So if I was Cartellini, I would try to put him under more and more pressure.
Oh, and there's another spin that goes around. Sorry, that's behind there. That looks like Manloren. Is it? Manlin, yeah, TF. He's gone around, and that's the same thing. It's almost the same corner, wasn't it? That was almost a carbon copy of what happens, and that's dropping him all the way back down to the Aston Martin. very unfortunate. There's a lot of positions to gain as your tyres are practically not at the right temperature, put it that way, and not a very happy camper inside the car. But still early days, and I tell you what, the rain report, how I said it was dynamic and changing, looking like it's going to dry up in around 10 minutes or so. So that'll be the first gamble to see who boxes and takes that risk.
And yeah, and for what tires? Because one thing to note here with this track is that the intermediates last around 14 laps, which means for some of these drivers, considering, you know, how much they spin the wheels, they might be in a much worse situation right now where the tires are already, I would guess, at around 45% tire wear potentially. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, they are about 40. You're right on the money as Carter's battling it out too with Ruben.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Carter, well, to give you an idea, Carter's tyres approximately, I'm going to tell you exactly, obviously, in case there's engineers out there, but they're around 40, anywhere between 40 to 45, and those fronts that take a bit of a punishing, especially that front left.
Which is surprising. Usually in the wet, it's the rear tires that suffer the most. But you have France, obviously, a track with a lot of long, winding corners.
Oh, look at this! They're really at it, trying to sweep to go on the racing line there. So Ruben is really trying to defend like mad. It's also bringing Richie into play a little bit in the background there. But yeah, I think Carter's trying to find a way around here. That could have gone absolutely nasty between those two drivers, but they are putting the car still in the right direction. Still continuing on. Ruben with the first of those penalties of a 3 second.
Yeah, according to the in-game data, the tires right now should be, and when I say in-game data, I mean the tire in-game data, not necessarily what you see, Biggles, but what the game tells the drivers before the race. These intermediate tires right now should be at around 35 to 40%. If they are higher than that, if they're above 40% already, then there's a bit of a mistake as Pedreño pushes Catalunya almost off the track there. But Lundy holds it in, stays in there, and now they are side by side, and they make contact! Oh! That was incredible, and Ruben Pedreño comes back onto the track. He might have to let Catalunya by for an overtake off the track. And does he? Yes, he does, because the game tells him he has to.
Legal overtake, yes.
And he has about 15 seconds to do it, and he did it just in time. Otherwise, he would get, I think, a 5-second penalty that he would obviously serve at the next pit stop. So he would have to wait for 5 seconds there. Oh, is he going for the move here to the final corner? That's not the overtaking opportunity that you want to take. But my goodness, these two are battling it out so much. And this brings Jeffrey Ritchie into the fold. He might battle over P4 here with Pedreño and Catalunya.
Absolutely. This is the battling we want to see. I'm sure this is the battling we're going to see all season long, too, with these gladiators in the sport. 2 retirements in the moment of Neon and Jake. So, yeah, these guys have to really do this, eke these tyres out, too, until that rain stops. You can see, well, we don't get the spray on that spectator menu, but it's still showing that the rain's coming down. But I tell you what, when this track does dry up in this game, it dries up pretty quickly. So that's going to come down to that gamble as to who's going to switch over, as you said earlier, to which tyres.
Yeah, at this point, it's an interesting question because the medium tire is supposed to last 14 laps, which means at this point it is way too early to go for medium tires. The hard tire lasts 18. That will do it right now, just about. But if it stays if it stays that wet a little bit longer, and we have the crossover point around, let's say, lap 12, what's you going to do at the end of lap 12? Are you going to come in? You would have to. But what tires do you go for?
I think Ruben's gone a little bit wide there. And, well, Richie, there's a Flying Dutchman. He will pounce on any mistakes you make. And I've known Richie for some time and watched Richie race in some leagues. And, yes, he will seize an opportunity. There's Mr. Smash if I'm leading this race. So he's going to take a gamble and try that. Why not? I'm going to get back to that Richie battle and see if he's going to try to do anything about that. I'm sure these drivers are going to switch him.
Mediums.
Yeah, there's
mediums.
There's a
that is surprising. That is so early for mediums. 18 laps to go. They think they can make the mediums last. That is quite surprising. Especially even more so. Yeah, even more so surprising, considering that the gap between the mediums and the hards in fresh condition is under 0.6 of a second per lap. And obviously with every lap it gets less and less. Whereas the soft tires, which are, they don't really matter much here, but they are 1.1 seconds quicker than the mediums.
About a 30-second pit stop here too, as well. In and out. We'll keep an eye on those times on those medium runners. Obviously, Smasher leading this race. We'll see what sort of times he's going to be putting in as opposed to those guys still on the inters, and whether or not that call is going to be paying off or not. As Dylan is now tucked up behind that train, and that's the Carter train. Richie's trying to get past, because probably Richie does know, look, this is my time to take advantage of these tyres. If I am quicker than those mediums, and here we go, Richie's going to make this run. I think Richie's basically biding his time, hasn't he, behind these lads, because he's just making a couple of overtakes. That looked all too easy. That or he's just really good on really worn inters. We don't know if it just yet.
Right now, I'm looking at the time gap between Rumbejo and Smasher. That gap is pretty much staying at around 21 seconds exactly. And it's not coming down much. It's coming down a little bit, which means I think at this point we have the crossover point. We have gotten to that point.
They're all boxing.
Yeah, they're all boxing.
Oh, a bit of a tap at the pit lane entrance there. That's a tap from Richie onto the back there, I think, or somebody else. And there was that concertina effect that you get sometimes in the pit lane, especially when these guys are so close. They're going to get slapped with a penalty there, and that will be a 5-second penalty too for some of those drivers. Well, you got to ignore that right now. We're only about a third of the way through the race. Plenty of things can change. These drivers have all been in this situation before. Let's see how that's paid off. As Smasher will resume the lead of this race. So how much time will they drop?
Vallejo back to P2. He did not lose much time, surprisingly enough. The gaps between the top three have stayed largely the same, about half a second here or there. But it was really a sort of slow build, a sort of slow transition where both laps were all right for the change to dries. But again, I'm surprised that everyone in their grandma are going on to medium tires. The only exceptions we have here are Eduardo Garcia, who's on hards, which is what I would have done, and then Racing Stein, who I think is still disconnected. So that's its AI going for an interesting move there, not so much him. So we can't really fault him for that. But Eduardo Garcia is doing what I would have done, but that's how much I know, apparently.
Let's see if that's going to pay off. Yeah.
All the other drivers are going for mediums. Just, I would not be confident enough in my own tire saving abilities to take those 17 or 18 laps.
Ruben trying to bring it right now on the Ferrari. Can he get that job done on Fabio?
Yeah.
Oh, Fabio's losing another
position.
Dylan Ward. Yeah, so is there something wrong with that Ferrari?
Dylan Ward stuck it in there. That's a risky maneuver, but it paid off for the Brit. And Fabio knocks the car around.
Yeah, he's struggling with this traction on these tires. Lucky for ghosting, otherwise this would have got killed.
And I think in the language of the manufacturer of the car he's driving, that would be called a Spinella for Fabio here. Obviously not in his language. Fabio is Austrian. I think in his language it would be called a Dreher. But
nice.
Down to P11 he goes. I speak German sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, and JST, his teammate, almost loses into turn 2 as well. My goodness. The Ferrari's really struggling right now in these conditions. Very interesting to see. Maybe that might be a setup issue. If they are sharing setups, then
I feel you're
maybe
right.
that
Exactly.
could explain it.
Do you think that they've gone for that setup, just a little bit more downforce and stuff like that to handle these temperatures or the rain? And unfortunately, the rain stopped. So here we go, Ruben on Richie now. Richie had got past Ruben before on the inters, but now Ruben's loving these mediums a little bit more than Richie is.
And Rich taps the rear of Ruben Pedreño there. Thankfully, no damage. Damage is very hard to come by here. The damage levels are set to standard and reduce. So standard damage, which means every part of the car can be damaged, but the damage rate is set to reduce, so it's very hard to actually get some damage. So a little bit of contact is okay for the drivers. Ruben Pedreño almost runs off the track, gets another 3-second time penalty. He is now up to 6, as Jeffrey Ritchie is on 5. But Jeffrey Ritchie is going to hope that he won't have to pit again, because he obviously got that tap in the rear that you mentioned earlier into the pit lane. So he sped into the pit lane,
We see
but
it.
not under his own power. He might get
sorry.
that removed.
Smash has lost his position out here, so Ruben's taken the lead
Oh,
in
yeah?
this race. So Smash has made an error out of the corner somewhere because I saw I jumped onto his car. We've lost somebody. We lost Garcia. Not quite
Yeah,
sure.
Eduardo Garcia's
Yeah,
out.
that's out of that's between turn 14, I think, 13 and 14, somewhere around just after 12.
No, that's Icabena, I think, who's there. Garcia
right.
is in the wall there. That's on the, like, right after Senior.
Seniors, yes.
Now it's gone. That would be, what is that, turn 12 there?
Turn 10. Yes, but yeah, we can't show the car anyway, unfortunately. It's been removed. Quick marshals here, Paul Ricard. Dylan now trying to get past Richie. Richie is still tucked up behind Ruben that got ahead of him. And Liam's still a little bit of a lonely race at the moment, up 5 seconds off the road there. But Smasher now's got to try to make his way back up into Ruben. We'll keep an eye on this battle at the moment between P4, P5 and P6. And Modest has also caught the back of this. So, well, there's a bit of a train as well, also behind them of Brian. And here we go. There's a little bit of set up the inside. You're going to go side by side through here. Somebody's going to have to go a little bit wide. You're going to cut back on the inside line here. This is tricky. Who's going to be committed? Who's going to keep the throttle down? Who's going to lift? Oh, there's a slide.
Oh, Pedreño spins off and almost into the wall, but he just keeps it out of it. But yeah, that really cost him a lot of position. He was driving on the knife's edge and he left the session. I think that's what we can call a rage quit right there from Ruben Pedreño.
It's unfortunate,
was
isn't
really-
it? It's a whole season too as well. Like points are points, I say.
Yeah, but he is in a good position right now. At least he was before the race, as he obviously finished P4 last time out in Bahrain. So he's already got 12 points to his name. However, there won't be any more coming this race, that's for sure.
Well, I was going to say, if you get into the points and, you get a couple of them, it gets late in the season. If you're battling out for a championship and you're just down a couple of points, you might look back at a race like this going, why didn't I just stick with it? I could have already wrapped the championship up. Who knows? It's unfortunate, too, that Eduardo is out of the race on those hard tires, because I thought if that strategy paid off, we would never hear the end of it from you, would we? The fact that you got that one right on the money.
The only way in which this strategy would pay off is if everyone else in front of him gets a puncture. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think we might potentially see a puncture or two here or there. At which point I think my call would still be proven right. If we see 1 or 2 punctures, I will say that's a win for me.
That's true.
But
yeah.
in any other case, if everyone gets through puncture free, then these guys have done a heck of a job and have certainly made the right call onto mediums instead of the hards.
It's going to be a lot of time management, I think, at this point. You think somebody like Liam is probably in a better position because he's got that bit of a gap there. He could probably nurse it a little bit, just take it easy. Coming out of the corners there, just not accelerating as much, just as long as he can keep, obviously, that big gap there to Richie. And obviously not let the leaders go too far down the road.
Yeah, generally when you have no car around you, when you have no car to immediately battle with, it makes it easier for you to just focus on 2 things. That's the tires and lap time. You're just constantly looking at the deltas, the car in front, car behind, but more importantly, you're looking at the tires and trying to see, okay, where can I save some tires here and there? Which corner can I take a little bit, can I open up a little bit more, take a little bit of a more shallow entry, and just be able to nurse these tires a little bit more. So I think Liam Panel's doing a good job there to make sure that exactly that happens. And now that we are about to finish lap 15, I'm going to say this. I don't know what you have there on your screen, but I would say if the leaders, I would say the top 3 right now, are at around 23% tire wear on their most worn tire, then they won't get a puncture. If they are higher than that, they're risking it. If they are above, I would say 30, then it's just not going to happen.
They're about 20 at the moment.
Okay, well, then they've made the right call. If they are at around 20, then I think, that's definitely the right call. So the medium tire lasts a lot longer than the game says it does. Interesting. Good to know. Although we have to keep keep in mind as well that, of course, at the start of this medium stint, there was still a lot of water on this track that now obviously has disappeared, but that cools the tires down quite significantly and makes them last a bit longer. So maybe that's what prolongs the stint for the drivers. I would still think that they should finish the race at around 65 to 70% tire wear on the most worn tire. And that's still not puncture territory. 70 is where it starts, 80 is where it gets really bad.
Yeah, but also remember too, even though it's puncture territory, it's also grip levels that fall off, and at this level of competition, at this level of speed between the drivers, one little slip up, and we've seen a few of those slip ups already, well then all of a sudden you've dropped all those positions. Not to mention the track is going to increase by about a degree, maybe 2 degrees towards the end of the race, which will put a little bit more heat into those tires and make a little bit more wear towards it. Kind of balances itself out too, because you're also burning the fuel too, which makes the car weight a little bit less, therefore a little bit less on the pressure on the tires. But yeah, it's going to come down to that, nursing those tires and, well, keeping the focus and keeping it pointing on the track in the right direction. Not to mention, you're going to be battling it out too with these guys as well. There's no major gaps you can see. Huge amount of major gaps on the track. Currently, the top 10 are separated by a pit stop window, 22 seconds all the way down to the Ferrari. So, yeah, for a 30-second pit stop, you'll drop out of the top 10 easy if you have to make one.
For sure. So no driver can really afford one, nor does any driver want to make another one, because 22.5 seconds about the time lost, which means even if Rumbayeho or CNG Smasher were to pit right now, they'd be behind Fabio in P10, and that's just so much time lost. And sure, you could try and fight back, on, like, obviously you would go onto soft tires for the end, but you could try to fight back, and you would be about right now, say, a second and a half to 2 seconds a lap faster. So you could easily gain back some positions, but it's still not worth it. You want to finish. And I think these drivers can finish easily on this tire, on these tires that they have on, because as you said, if they're around 20% right now, there's not much wear in these tires just yet, and they will be fine come the end of the race.
It's quite good at the moment how everybody's really lapping in similar times. I'm seeing right out the front leaders in the late 130s, so they're almost in the early 131s. These other drivers are all bouncing around the 131s, 131 to 131 and a half. So of course a lot of them are in the dirty air. So yeah, they're not really, the leaders aren't really pulling away too much, as you saw that gap pretty much of 6 seconds from Liam behind the two guys at the front. Practically been the same. Richie hasn't been able to cut into that too much. There's actually, saying of which, it looks like, Ruben's made a mistake out of that corner, and, well, Smash has pounced, so they've exchanged the lead of this race again between them, and Smash is back up to where he did start this race. Ruben's back into P2 where he did start the race as well. But it ain't over yet.
I was switching onto that right at the very end, and from my perspective, it didn't look like a mistake or anything. It looked more like a screen freeze for Rumbayeho, which then lagged him back behind Smasher. So, very unfortunate there. But it might be as well, because we did see those screen freezes early on the formation lap for Smasher as well. So maybe Smasher lost that position on a screen freeze, then got it back on a screen freeze.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, here we go.
Smasher actually runs wide. I think that was deliberate. And now Vallejo lets him by again. What are they doing? They don't want to battle, do they?
No, they don't. Well, they want the DRS. I've heard this actually from drivers. Look at the way he's making sure that he's going to cover off that racing line. I've seen this before, and I've heard this from drivers, obviously in the no assist without the racing line, that the fact is, apparently it's a lot harder to be leading the race than it is to be in the car behind. Because if you don't have that racing line, well, if you've got a car up ahead, they essentially become your racing line.
Yeah, exactly. It's always easier to follow another car than to be the one leading. It's the same in real F1 as it is on the game as well, and any racing game for that matter. As here is Rumbayeho, is he even going to go for it? No, look at this. He lifts and coasts behind Smasher. He doesn't even want to go for the move. And we've seen this so many times generally, not just here in RL Global, but generally in racing, in sim racing, in F1, on the F1 game. so many times that drivers really want to stay behind until about the third, second, or even the last lap of the race. The third last, second last, or last lap of the race. And then they go for the move, and then they try to pull a gap. Because, for multiple reasons, not just because it's easier to follow the other car than it is to drive on your own and not see another car and constantly have like half an eye to an eye in the rearview mirror, but also you get the DRS and you can save ERS because you get that extra overtaking help, that extra speed down the straight. You don't have to use as much ERS out of the corner because you can just open your rear wing. You don't need that energy, and so we're seeing that exactly that is happening. And I'm not. Here's the thing: even if Smasher does have an engineer with him, I'm not telling any secrets when I say that Ruben Vallejo is saving some ERS right now. Pretty sure Smasher knows that on his own. And yeah, that's exactly what's happening here. So Smasher is going to be extremely vulnerable come the last couple of laps of this race. Right now.
Yeah. I was just going to say Carter and Brian were messing around at the back, but we'll go back to that lead again too between Smasher and Ruben because yeah, they're just, I think they're just going to be out there for some time that you'd mentioned there now. But what's happening also is bringing Liam into play a little bit because that gap is down to 5-point-something seconds. So while they're battling it out in the 31.2s, 31.3s, Liam's in the 31.1s, shaving a little bit of time out as Brian and Carter are still at it there. It's also bringing Dylan into play there. He's in the 130s. 130s as well too for Richie and Modest. So yeah, how much squabbling you want to be doing. As we're seeing, there's a complete retirement from Javier somewhere out on track. That would be
on the verge between Sector 1 and Sector 2, as Catalunya is past Britain. Is he? No, he's not. He almost lost the car there as well before turn 12. Now through turn 13, flat out, obviously. The right hand and then 14. Yeah, Britain's got the position for now. But DRS for Catalunya, that might bring him the position back. But yeah, Ruben Vallejo, he has no interest at overtaking, but this sort of reminds me of the Tour de France, of cycling. Because you have this often where two, three, four, five drivers escape, and then they start to play games. Then they start to play mind games on each other, and they take it slow. They want to reserve every piece of power, every piece of energy that they still have inside them. They want to keep that for the very last sprint. And this time, though, Ruben Vallejo has had enough. He goes for the move on CRG Smasher. He goes for that overtake and for the lead of the race. And CRG Smasher says, be my guest, have that position. So Smasher down to P2, Vallejo P1. But Smasher, I've got to say, did a fantastic job at preserving his ERS here. Vallejo, however, I think might be making a run for it. 0.6 of a second already.
He got a very good exit out of there. He got half a second down. That was 7/10, but he could break that DRS. That might have worked out brilliantly to take that little gamble there. Not a little gamble, take a huge gamble. Look at that, almost up to 8 temps. He's going to give it everything he got right now to break that DRS. That may very well play.
Yeah, but here exactly at the pit entry, where the pit entry line starts, is where the DRS detection point is, and Smasher was still in it, so he will have the DRS available to him, and that should bring Vallejo right back. And it doesn't really 8/10 still. But I think Vallejo might be trying to make the run by using more ERS now of what he had saved up. And it's going to be interesting to see if he can break that 1 second gap and open it up to just over that detection point here. There it is. Detection point here is coming right around this corner. The line is here on the ground, and it's over a second, and Smasher has no DRS. Ruben Vallejo has pulled the gap on Smasher, and that is huge right now. That is incredibly huge. Both cars using all of their ERS down the whole Mistral straight because they do not want to give each other an inch. And you see immediately, the moment they stop playing those games and they start speeding up, the gap to Liam Parnell now up to 7 seconds again.
That was brilliant. Brian and Carter are still at it. I don't know how many times I've had to switch between those two guys. They're just consistently left, right, and center. It's going to be up to now if Richie can bring that down. I don't know how many times I can switch to Brian and Carter. I mean, those guys are basically Siamese twins driving around this track at this point. They're just consistently, that's why you see those timing tables go over and over again. But I tell you what, right now, it's bringing the Ferrari into play. This messing around, I don't think the Ferrari wants to mess around. He says, okay, you boys have been playing for a few laps now. I've been watching it. I'm going to get past both of you, perhaps. Oh, no, he's going to get very wide, go around the advertising boards there. And there we go. So I'm going to see if that Ferrari's going to seize an opportunity with these two guys tooth and nail.
Yeah, I mean, what, CNG Smasher's back into DRS on the main straight. He's got it back, and that might be Ruben Vallejo's downfall ultimately. Both drivers have used significant amounts of battery charge. Remember, they were at about 70 for Smasher and about 90 for Ruben Vallejo. Now they're down to, I mean, their last couple of pieces, really. I'm not going to say how much each of them have, but they're pretty close. That's all I'm going to say. Again, if engineers are in the chat or are watching right now, then, you know, we don't want to give away too much information here, but... Oh, Ruben Vallejo, whoa, he slows down? What's happened here?
Just let him through.
He deliberately... Yeah. Wow. He wants to play the same game again. I can't believe it.
He's playing with his food. They're both playing with their food. Let me say you not to do that, right?
They're both. Yeah, they see each other as the meal for the dinner. And question is, who's going to be the main course?
Oh, look how close Rich has got back onto Dylan right now. So he's been eking out so much as the sunshine's come out here in Paul Ricard. As things are definitely going to start heating up towards the end of this race with only basically 5 or so laps to go. This is when you start to really make your moves. If you do want to make them, time is now. Richie's got to try to do something about that. He's been tucked up there for some time. Carter and Brian once again are at it. We'll go back to the lead of this race. We'll see if Richie can send anything up the inside here. He's got a very good exit, but that's going to be bold and brave if you can. Try that. He's going to try to figure him out there for the next DRS straight, maybe down the Mistel straight or not. So we'll just keep an eye on this one for a little bit because that's the closest they've been for a while. We know Smasher and Ruben are just playing around the front there. Carter and Brian have been messing around as well.
Again, Again, no attempt at an overtake from Vallejo. He clearly had the overspeed. He was not interested. The one thing I'm thinking right now, though, on the previous game, this was a very good strategy because you had obviously the different fuel modes, the different fuel mixes. If you save some fuel by just lifting and coasting like this, you could then use more rich mix later on, which means you had even more power available. You don't have the rich mix anymore. You can't change the fuel mix anymore. So all that Ruben Vallejo is doing is keeping more fuel in his car, which makes the car heavier, which gives Smasher a bit more of an opportunity here and a bit more of an advantage.
Rishi did get past Dylan. So I wonder if Dylan's going to just try to body Simon. He's actually building a little bit of a gap to Dylan. And it looks like Carter is actually, Jay's actually got between them. So, but we'll keep an eye back on this battle of the lead of this race again between Ruben. Look how close he is tucked up. That's going to be very scary too at that moment because it's great wheel-to-wheel racing. It's great nose-to-tail racing. But, you know, lose an end plate right now. This could be all over. I don't think they got that memo, did they? They're racist. They're just going to get on with it.
Yeah, we got 3 battles going on at the same time right now. In fact, Fabio is about to enter this battle over P7 as JST is not interested in overtaking just yet. He knows as well that if he goes for that move right now, he's going to be the target. He's going to be the one the rest are going to be trying to hunt down for the remaining 3 laps of this race. So it's just a big game, or 3 big games of cat and mouse right now. And Liam Parnell sort of in between there. He's having a quiet day. You know, he's just chilling there. He sees that the guys ahead are getting closer and closer. You can see them on parts of the Mistral straight, but at the same time,
on Brian.
Yeah, there goes JST. Yeah. He's done playing as well, and he's got the ERS to pull that gap now as well on Bryn. But ultimately, we also have to look at the penalties. I was about to say, well, JST, Bryn, and Cartolini all on 9 seconds each. That is remarkable. They're exactly on the same amount of penalties. And so these are straight up battles for position. That's wonderful. Ruben Vallejo down the main straight again. Not interested, but both drivers are saving so much ERS, and it's really bringing in Liam Parnell. Can he close the gap? I don't think it will be enough for Liam Parnell. Unless these two get penalties somehow, then it won't be enough for Parnell other than third place for him.
It's a penultimate lap too, so now you're running out of time. As you can see, those penalties exactly. So Fabio's going to gain a lot of positions. Dylan's going to get past Richie, no doubt, but they'll just slip on his teammate of Liam that you mentioned, having a little bit of a lonely race. Some of those other drivers are going to drop back a few positions. Here we go. Ruben's opportunity now because he's running out of time. You got 5.8 kilometers for this track, and this is the penultimate lap. So yeah, I've got about 10 kilometers now to get this job done if you want to win this race. Smasher now has an opportunity to come back in with that DRS. Have they managed it? As Dylan gets past Richie, I don't think Richie is going to put up too much of a fight or needs to because he's got those 5 seconds penalties. Only Richie could do is hope that he forces Dylan into a penalty, but it's a little bit too late on that one. It's going to come down to who wants to win this race of the second round of the season.
Oh yeah, gets a little bit of a twitch on from hitting the inside curb in turn 11. Runs a little bit wide, almost off track, and that almost opened up the door for Smasher. My goodness, he's really driving on the limit here. I think we might see a final overtake on the main straight. However, look at the Haas play here. It's not intentional because obviously Racing Stein has disconnected. He's not in the car. That's the AI. But that might give DRS to Ruben Vallejo if he can get there within a second. The AI of Racing Stein might give his teammate the DRS down the main straight, and that could save him.
Yes.
Yeah. Is he going to get it? That is the question. I think he's too far away. I think he's a bit too far away. Is he going to get it? Here's the detection point. He doesn't get it. He does not have it. So Smasher now with the opportunity. But he might be a bit too far away. He's going to use all of his ERS, or will he? It doesn't look like it.
Going to get a good exit out of 9 down the Mistel straight here.
Yeah.
And then get ready for Cygnus into turn 10. And then you basically got really nowhere to overtake after that unless the driver makes a mistake. So this is it. Make or break situation. You want to win this race. This is going to come down to this sector now, really, at the end of the day.
It's going to be difficult, though. Vallejo seems to have the line here. Gets the better exit. The Smasher almost loses it there. A little bit of a nuisance to have that ghosted car right in the middle there. I've experienced that before. If you're driving, you do not want any obstruction of your view.
I think
and that ghosted car definitely is. But yeah, final corner. Ruben Vallejo, hey kabao, played this wonderfully tactically, and Ruben Vallejo takes the win. 0.33 seconds ahead of COG Smasher. Liam Parnell, the championship leader, remains the championship leader with his P3. And Jeffrey Ritchie spins across the line. Yeah. Oh, that's because of all the penalties he's had. Yeah. But Dylan Warren P4, Modesto Mena P5. Let's see, JST will get P7. Cartalundi will have P8. Bryn P... Oh, actually, hold up. Fabio P7,
gets
JST
penalties.
8. Yeah. Cartalundi 9, Bryn 10. And that will bring a close to the points. Then we've got Kersey in P11 and Ruben Pedreño in P12. Really unfortunate race when Racing Stein and Baena leapt down in 13 and 14. My goodness, what a race. We had 3 battles until the very end. Who says France doesn't produce any great races?
Not these drivers, that's for sure. And thank you very much out there, Big C. And there's Modest will get that driver of the day. I believe he was in P14 and finished in P5, and why not? Well, there it is, the 2 men on the top 2 steps. Bows to his crowds, bows to us, of course. Picks up that trophy, shake that man's hand. You did it, started in P2, hanging all the way, tooth and nail with the McLaren driver, all the way to the end. The McLaren driver obviously starting on pole, but at the end of the day, has to settle for that second step.
Yeah, I think he's not going to be too happy with that. He knows he could have had the win, but what a tactical masterclass by Ruben Vallejo, needs to be said. Really, really fantastic. However, Smasher does get a little bit of a consolation prize. Not only does he get second place, he's also got the fastest lap, so that's an extra point to his name as well. So that will bring his total to 19 for the race and the season so far. So he's settling in with a shout here. as is, of course, Ruben Vallejo, as is Liam Parnell, the championship leader, as mentioned. Dylan Warren as well. He's, of course, had a P5 last time out, now a P4. That's 22 points. Pretty good, I think, for him as well. And then, let me look, Jeffrey Ritchie as well. Remember, he got second last time. This time a P6. That is also 26 points for the Alpine driver. And JST with a P8, he'll be on 23. So it's getting very close there. Liam Parnell is already building that gap. But everyone else behind, I think we've got a lot of drivers there who are capable of fighting over that P2 or even reeling back in Liam Parnell.
I wonder if we can hear from the drivers. We'd like to hear from them for an interview. I know I would. If the drivers are available, I guess we could try, couldn't we, Mr. Badger? Let's see if that would be possible, if the drivers are happy with that one. I'm just loading an interview screen in here. Interview screen, not scream, in now. So, yeah, we had that at least up on the stream there. Apologies about that. Just getting graphics sorted out very last minute. Our graphics man's on holiday, so we can't break his holiday away. Everybody deserves a holiday, especially everybody that puts in all the good work. Big C out there. G'day, mate. I saw you. Who's the new commentator? It's me. Just stepping in, helping out Mr. Badger in the booth. Having a lot of fun. That's why I said I apologize for some of those graphics and stuff like that I'm missing. But we can't apologize for the brilliant racing that these drivers have done. And things are definitely heating up and spicing up in this championship. I don't know, Badge, if we got anybody to do any interviews with, I guess we'll just ask out there. We'll see.
Yeah, I just asked them. We'll see if anyone joins. I think Liam Parnell's usually up for these. He's usually one who likes to join, and so I would like to hear what his race was like. I mean, it looked rather boring, I would say, compared to everything else that was going on right around him. 4 seconds, 5 seconds up the road, 5 seconds and 10 seconds behind him. All the stuff that was going on for him, it was just, yeah, him, the track, and the time. That's all that was going on. But yeah, would love to talk to him as well as, of course, the top two. But it seems like no one's really interested in joining.
Yeah, there might be a little bit.
Same as last week. So yeah, drivers seem to be a little bit shy, I would say, when it comes to interviews.
True.
Not that that's a bad thing. I know that for some drivers, some of the non-English drivers, it tends to be the case that they don't feel comfortable enough in English, and so they'd rather not do interviews.
Well, you speak German. And if
I do,
Liam
but
speaks German. I don't mind. If
yeah, but Liam's English is top notch. Liam is that's not the issue for Liam.
Yeah.
No, usually from experience, I want to be very clear here. I'm not knocking anyone. I'm not trying to be mean to anyone. But it tends to be the Spanish drivers because Spain obviously has a culture that's very much focused on the Spanish language which is a beautiful language.
Well, I'll do it in Spanish. I live in Panama. I speak Spanish.
Oh, there you go.
But actually, don't put me on the spotlight because my Spanish isn't that good. So therefore,
okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
All right.
Yeah, we'll call.
I mean, you put yourself on the spot.
I did put myself on the spotlight. Perhaps I'll practice a few Spanish questions there a little bit better for.
Yeah. But it tends to be drivers that generally do not speak English because I think Liam speaks English as either his first or second language. So, I mean, the name Liam Parnell seems very English as well. So, I think it makes sense.
It's like yours.
Yeah. That's not my actual name, but.
But I mean, you're English. You're English, brilliant. Remember,
my English.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Austin Smith is not my actual name, by the way. It's just the name I took because my actual German name is a little bit hard to pronounce for anyone who's not English, so that's why I went with that one. But I don't think we have anyone joining for interviews. Unfortunately, I would love to hear from some of the drivers. But that will bring us to to talk about next week then, I think. And next week I think is gonna be very, very interesting because it is a track that isn't actually too far away from at least the country of France. It's quite far away from the Circuit Paul Ricard, but not too far away from the country of France. It is the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. It is the Belgian Grand Prix next week. We're touring through Western Europe right now after the season opener in Bahrain. After that, we'll go to Zandvoort and then down south to Italy before we head over to the British Isle and to Silverstone. Then we got Austria. It's all over the place. For traveling, this would not be a good calendar, I gotta say. At least traveling inside Europe. But at the same time, the last 5 races are none of them are in Europe. So maybe it's kind of good in that regard. It's gonna be China, then Japan, then Mexico, USA, and Brazil. So I think those somewhat make sense. It's very close to the real calendar, obviously leaving out some tracks. But yeah, certainly interesting. What is going to be left for us in Spa? What will this league, what will the RL Global have on offer? If today's race is any indicator, I think we're in for another cracking race.
Oh, for sure, mate. For sure. With this level of skill that's out there, there's absolutely nothing that can stop these guys from putting on a fantastic show. So that'll be it. I think we'll wrap that one up. From the Badger Man and myself, the Biggles. First time in the commentary box for this fantastic league, for this fantastic race. The second one, many more to come, as you'd mentioned there in that calendar. So you guys want to find out how to be involved in this league? Well, there's on the YouTube channel, there'll be all the links to the Discord and all the goodies and stuff like that. So welcome to the family if you'd like to join. If you're already in the family, thank you very much for tuning in and watching, as well as those drivers that will no doubt be reviewing these the stream after, just to see what was going on from other points of view, not just inside their cockpits. So, yeah, any last words, Badger, before we hit that end stream button and let everybody take a breather? I think I might have lost you. That'll be it. Thank you, everybody.
Sorry.
Did you have anything to say? Sorry, I didn't. Yeah.
No, I don't. I thought you were going to wrap up.
Oh, yeah, wrap it up. Well, let's wrap it up. All right, thank you, guys. Everybody, please stay safe, take care, and we'll see you all again next time.